I want to thank you for being here, and I want to say how honored I am that the incredible artists have stepped up to be part of this. Because I've always believed since I was a young punk rocker that arts and culture and storytelling has a crucial role to play in politics. Because politics should be about community. Politics has to be more than spin. It has to be more than the message box. It has to be more than those stupid daily polling on the questions of the day. Don't ever waste your time worrying about what the question of the day is. What is the question that we're facing in our time? That's what we need to face. And I can tell you on the 5-month tour across this country how incredibly blessed I've been to see what I have seen. Because they will tell you that we are divided from each other. They will tell you, that all those pit truck drivers up in Fort Mac, they just want to destroy the planet. And then I meet energy workers who are talking to me about a vision of a better country and diversifying and how they're training themselves to create a new economy. And they say, where's the federal government? And we were in St. John's this spring, and we were out on the docks watching all the fishing boats that couldn't go out into the North Atlantic because the ice flows from the melting is changing the waters. And when you talk to fishing crews about the changing of the waters of the North Atlantic, you start to see this is happening before our eyes. And we need a nation and a government and a people that's willing at this time to say, we got to do something about this. We've got to talk about this. We've got to confront it. We've got to own up. I've been reading this book, Avishai Ghosh, The Great Derangement. You should really read The Great Derangement. He's writing about how the 21st century, all the great thinkers in that just can't seem to come to terms with what's before us. In terms of what's happening with the environmental crisis that we're facing in this time. And I was talking to some young people, and they were saying there's another term, it's called the Great Dithering. Apparently that's a scientific fact, a term actually. That they'll look back and say, what happened in this era when things needed to be dealt with? The Great Dithering. And then the Great Derangement. And then fundamentally the great denial that's going on in our own nation here. Because you know what? Hey, we've got great socks. So I've got good socks too. I don't know if you can see it. I've been staying with my mom last week, and she said, Charlie, I'm going to go to Costco and pick you up some new socks. I said, no, Mom, I'm running to be Prime Minister. I got to have socks that say something, that have a statement. She said, yeah, how about clean ones? We have an opportunity to do something, people. Because we have an amazing nation, and I can tell you from crossing this country from one end of the country to the other, how incredible the opportunities we have, the goodness of people, the openness of people. But it ain't good enough to just say, oh, we're not like Donald Trump. We're not Americans. Everything's fine. Rolling Stone loves us. We're the cutest people on the planet. Cute doesn't cut it. Not in 2017. We have issues that are facing us that it's calling for us to stand up. And I look at this incredible city of Toronto, where my parents came here when my dad finally got enough money to go to school, because my parents were the kids of miners and they didn't get to go to university. They quit school when they were in their teens to go to work. And my dad was 40 when he finally had enough money to go to school, and he became a professor of economics. And that was the middle class. The middle class was that if you got an education and you worked hard, you had a path to a better life. And so we all moved up to North Scarborough with 7 of us in this little house. And my mom worked 6 days a week. It wasn't easy, but it was possible to own a house in Toronto, in all manner of neighborhoods. And that people could go to university on a summer job without debt. Do you remember those days? You must be pretty old. And so what we have now is that we have a city where people cannot live in the city they grew up in. Where people are so burdened down with student debt that it's $100,000 and $150,000. You know, Bombardier gets interest-free loans, but for all the people in this country, and they can't even deliver their streetcars. Oh, don't get me started on the streetcars, because they shipped all the work to Mexico. There's something fundamentally wrong when people are burdened down with such massive levels of debt. They can't live in the cities that they want to work and raise their children in, and they can't find a permanent job. And Bill Morneau, who's the privatization king of Canada, says, suck it up, it's the new normal. Well, you know the problem with normal is it always gets worse. And it's going to continue to get worse unless we take a stand. So, let's look at this issue of, so we talked about environmental crisis that we're facing, the economic crisis we're facing. Did you hear poor Galen Weston today? Poor Galen, right? There's 3 people in this country that own more wealth than 1/3 of all Canadians, and Galen Weston is one of them. There's something fundamentally wrong when 3 people own that much wealth. And I walk into Loblaws, I go into the grocery stores all the time, and I see people working hard and they can't even get a decent wage. And poor Galen is crying the blues that it's going to cost him. He claims $190 million for all the thousands of workers who are getting paid $11 an hour and $10 an hour on part-time work. And he's threatening to lay them off and go to automation. There is something fundamentally wrong, and what's fundamentally wrong is that they've broken the social contract with Canadians. There was a social contract that allowed corporations to build and to invest and to make money, and we were told year after year, oh, give them tax breaks, give them tax breaks. What are they going to do? Oh, they'll reinvest, don't worry, they'll reinvest, they'll create jobs. No, they haven't created. They're shipping the money overseas, and Galen Weston is crying the blues. Well, guess what, Galen, if I'm in, you're going to be crying all the blues, because you're going to pay your fair share. Because Canadians pay their fair share, and you're not paying your fair share. And believe me, I don't got a problem with people making profit. In fact, I want to be a partner with business. I want to make sure that we're focused on creating employment. The federal government has lots of tools to create employment, but we have to create a livable economy. We have to create livable cities and livable communities. And it is possible. This isn't pie in the sky. It's about backbone. I don't know. I didn't take political science, but I think backbone is a political term, is it not? For example, I'm just freelancing here, going off the top of my head, all the crazy numbers people keep giving me. Do you know that Justin Trudeau's getting a $4 billion surplus given to him this fall? $4 billion. How many people ever get, hey, here's $4 billion. What do you want to do with it, Mr. Prime Minister? It's true. The CMHC, which is a public corporation, is going to give the federal government a $4 billion surplus. So, wow, what would you do with $4 billion? Tanks and planes. Tanks and planes. Oh, well, that's one. More rubber ducks. Any other ideas what we could do with $4 billion? Yeah, keep fighting First Nation kids in court. I mean, imagine how long they can fight First Nation kids in court with $4 billion. Or we could invest that into a brand new national housing program. Yep. So that we can start to have livable communities. $4 billion. And then every year from what's also out there, and maybe we might have to tax a few of the speculators. I don't know. Is that going to go down well and strong? And then we put a fundamental benefit test. You know, like all the money that's going into that LRT on Eglinton. It's great. I think it's going to be fantastic. I just don't want to drive on Eglinton anymore. But we're going to have an LRT. And it's going to go all the way from the West End, all the way to the old Golden Mile. Now, I don't know, any old Scarborough alumni here? Well, when we moved to Scarborough, the Golden Mile was an industrial capital. That was before Brian Mulrooney got us all sold on NAFTA. Remember how NAFTA was going to create us international citizens? Yes. Well, the Golden Mile was all factories. They're all long gone. All the jobs are gone. And now we're going to have an LRT down the Golden Mile. And all the benefits will go to the big box and the condo developers. Which I don't have a problem with. But if we're going to invest millions and billions in public infrastructure, then we a public benefit test to say, if we're going to put this in, what benefit does the community get so that we have mixed income housing and community centers along the line so people can actually use the resources that the public's paying for. That's about having a political vision. It's about having political backbone. It's about economic justice, it's environmental justice, but you know what? We don't get any justice unless we get Indigenous justice in this nation. And the bill has come due. When we have children dying every single day in the North, and we have a government that is fighting the Human Rights Tribunal at federal court to quash in order to make them accountable to First Nation children. Imagine if Stephen Harper did that. People would lose their minds. They'd be marching in the streets. But Justin's doing it, and Carolyn Bennett's doing it, and Jane Philpott's doing it, and they're all really nice people. But nice people do really, really bad things if they're allowed to get away with it. And kids are dying, and kids are not going to die anymore on our watch. We are going to insist that the federal government will be there. We're going to dismantle Indian Affairs. It's gone. You can't tinker with it, you can't play with it, you can't hope it'll do something. It was constructed to do a job. And it's done a damn good job of what it was constructed to do. But it's going to have to stop. And we're going to put the resources into the children. And I just want to say one other thing. I keep seeing these incredible circles in our country. Circles of goodness. Circles of hope. So I was in meeting with the Muslim community and the Somali community. And we were talking about, in an age where people are being targeted, and an age of economic insecurity, how fear, and how they start to try and blame people. And a woman from the Somali community said, it was so beautiful how you talked about the children dying, but our children are dying from hopelessness too. And they're dying from gun violence. And they're dying from the fact that even if they go to school now, nobody will hire them. Because that's the way it is in the new Canada. And that's got to change, and so we have to reach out. We have to hold on to each other in these times. It's so important to build those bridges. And I was speaking at a Muslim mosque in 905, and we talked about justice, and we talked about dealing with the issues of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism and the rise of some really ugly hate crimes that are starting. And an old elder said to me, it was all very well and good what you said, Charlie, but our primary responsibility is to Indigenous people. Because unless the first people of this land are looked after, nobody looked after. That's what I heard in 905. So don't ever let them tell you that there are divisions and, it's us versus them. The only them is the 1%. And what brings us together is so much greater than the false politics that would divide us. Never, never, never let anybody tell you otherwise. Because I'll tell you, from one place of this country to another, from the rural regions to the urban regions, from the blue collar to the environmentalists, from the Indigenous to the new Canadians, I see the power of people. And that power to make a nation that will be a light to the world in a time of darkness, in a time of instability, in a time of hate. But what it requires is us to step up and do the job. And I can make you one promise. I've been told I can't swear anymore as a NDP leader candidate. So I gotta think this. if I am elected leader of the NDP, we are going to stir some shit up. And we are not going to blink, and we are not going to be silent, and we're not going to sit in the big comfy chair and say things just the right way. We are going to speak for the unorganized. We are going to speak for people who have no voice, and we are going to go out and we're going to put the organizers on the ground, and we're going to start to be a voice for the people who've been written off this political and economic map of our nation. And we are going to show that we can do this together, we can do this in solidarity, and we can do this showing hope, because we believe in this country of ours, and we are going to do it, my friends. That's our task. I'm asking you to support me. Thank you very much.